Good morning, everybody. Back to horse racing today. Unfortunately, Terry had an emergency, so he will not make it today. May be out for the entire week. We hope for the best for Terry and Honey Bunny. Certainly our well wishes are with you. Unfortunately, Tom is on vacation. Well, fortunately for Tom, he's on vacation. And then Jared got his work schedule flipped around, so no Jared either. So it's just me flying solo today, probably tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, unless one of you would like to join me. So if you want to join me, you can go ahead and hit me up at gtsrichb@gmail.com. Certainly like to have your picks today as well. I don't know about you. On the weekend, I headed off to a friend's wedding. Man, it's been a while since I had been out with COVID and everything in a mass setting like that. It's kind of a little bit unusual, but we wish Joe and Amy nothing but a lot of success. Good luck, fellas and ladies. Sorry about that. But he was a pretty good entertainer there. So I had never heard of him before. And if you have a chance to, go on over to YouTube. Check out a guy by the name of Charlie Mars. He was, if you like sort of storytelling type folk music, Charlie had some nice songs there. Nice rhythm, good voice. I think he's from Mississippi. So if you like that country, folksy storytelling type thing, certainly Charlie would be definitely maybe one that you might want to pay attention to or listen to anyway. So today we're going to go to Parx to do our racing, our handicapping today at Parx. Quick look at the weather. Looks like it's supposed to be nice up until around 6 o'clock when the thunderstorms hit. There's a chance, about a 15% chance of rain as the day progresses. So hopefully we can get most of the card in without the weather really being a factor. As it is right now, not a lot of scratches. Hopefully that hasn't changed much since we got started. And the track is considered fast. The turf is considered firm. So we're looking forward to a good day of racing at Parx. Hopefully a good day for myself. Hope you had a great weekend. Yeah, let's cash today for sure, Brian. That was a good weekend. And enjoyed the guy, Charlie Mars. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to listen to his music, if you like country music, good voice, yeah, folksy, kind of storytelling music, it's definitely a good time. So we're going to do Parx today. I'm going to break out something a little bit different today as we go through Parx to kind of walk you through a little bit of what we do or what I do to get ready. Race 1 is a 6 furlong. It's a claiming 5,000 non-winner of 1 for the year. And if we look at the 6 furlong profile of a winner, let me, as I navigate by myself today, it's pretty interesting. 6 furlongs, 185 races, 126 were won by speed, 65 of which went wire to wire. There is a post penalty, as we talked many times with the Parx track, but it is improving lately. You do get a small bonus if you wear a 2 or a 3, slight discount 4 through 7. 8+ is fair. And like I said, today I'm going to break out something a little bit different today for race number 1. I'm going to share with you how I go through the pace setup. So what I do is I look at horses and how they've won a race in the past. So here we are, race number 1. And come on, pen, work for me. Race number 1, you can see, race 1. The E-horse is a horse that's won when it's got on the lead only. The EP horse is a horse that can win from on the lead, or it can press second, third, then a length, maybe a length and a half, maybe 2 at the most at the leader. Here you have a pressure horse. These don't get to the lead, but they stay within a length or 2 of the leader. Pressure closers are kind of interesting because these are horses that sometimes can get to the lead, actually, and when sometimes they close, sometimes they pressure, so they're pretty versatile. And of course, you have the closer, right? These are horses that have only ever won from the back. And you could see a couple of notations in here. For example, you can see I have a square right here, right? So this square right here indicates a horse that should get a running style that fits the way it's won in the past. Same here with the 1, but you see this green arrow to the left, right? Or not a green arrow, but you see the arrow to the left. I am now designating these left arrow horses. This is a closer, but his early pace numbers suggest he'll be closer to the front than usual. So he won't have to work too hard if he runs his normal race to maybe sit second or third. And then, of course, I have here late pace 1, late pace 2. So these are the horses that have the strongest late pace as the race progresses. So that's how I go through every race and designating it. And then I look to see how the pace sets up for every horse. Then I do my rankings. Then I look through to see who's on the improve. Good morning, Charles. How are you, my friend? And then from there, go ahead and make my rankings. So let's look at the rankings for race number 1 today at Parx, and we'll see. Let me add myself back to the picture here as I work my way through, trying to run the whole show from beginning to end. Usually I get to hide while Terry's talking. Today, no hiding for me. So race number 1, I like the is my top choice. I clicked through too many pages here. Hold on. Forgot to close a few things this morning before I got started in my checklist to make sure I got everything right. I didn't get everything right. So I'm going to actually start off with my box it up today. That is where I take 4 horses, put those 4 horses together in an exacta box, a trifecta box, and a superfecta box. And I'm going to start off with number 5, the Kawawaja Time. Hope I got that right. As I mentioned when I was going through the early pace and the pace setup, this is what I am now deeming a left arrow horse. She's a closer, but her early pace numbers will put her close to the front with this group. She's on or near the lead, running at her normal tempo, has the best leg kick, and as I like to say, you can't pass what you can't catch. Number 4 is the second choice in race number 1. That is Sensational Dixie. This one has the top late pace numbers in the field, and it's by a pretty good margin. In fact, a wide margin, and is the biggest edge that any horse in this group has. Biggest advantage. Number 2, Magnetique, 38% winning combo of jockey Ruben Silveira and Jamie Ness. The horse has missed as the favorite in 3 of her last 5 races, so burning a lot of money for folks, but does have a second and 5 tries at the distance. But when you just look at the numbers, it is a class fit here. And then finally, number 1, Magical Anna. This one I expect to be better in the third start off a layoff. Did improve her 2 furlong and furlong pace figures last out, which in my book can be a sign of a horse that's improving. We're going to move on to race number 2. Hey, Nick, what's happening today, my man? Good to see you. Yeah, Terry, Terry's unfortunately has a family issue that he's got to take care of. So he'll hopefully be back. He said maybe as early as Wednesday, but, we hope that he comes back when everything is taken care of. So that'll be the nice way to go. Yeah, no, it's just a personal matter he had to take care of. Race number 2. Again, let's take a look at how the pace breaks down for race number 2 over on this side. We'll page down here a little bit so I can get to race 2. Race 2. And again, we have the same designations with the early pace. The horses that have the ability to sit off the pace or be on the lead, pressure horse. And then we have the pressure closers and then the closers. And again, the square boxes, those are the horses that should get a pace set up that matches the way they've won races previously. We can see that our best late pace horse here is actually the 5 horse, which is pretty good. So that's should be a pretty interesting race here for race number 2. Looking at race number 2 in terms of the profile of a winner, race 2 is, and I have to jump off to another page real quick. Race 2 is 1 mile, claiming $7,500, non-winners of 4 lifetime. And at 1 mile, they've run 74 races, 54 of which were won by 74 races, 51 won by speed, 21 of which went wire to wire. You do get a slight discount from the rail, although not as bad as it was at 6 furlongs. 2 through 7 from post positions play fair, and 8 and out creates a penalty. I'm going to start with number 3, Matula. This one is mostly run on the Naira circuit. Comes in from Belmont, won 2 in a row, going wire to wire in her Lone Parx race. She won 2 back, going wire to wire in the Lone Parx race. Dropping in class here off the top last race speed figure, and I expect Matula to be either the pilot or the co-pilot. Bellamy's Party Girl is the second choice. Won his last race with ease, despite across-the-board pace numbers that were down a touch. Wasn't all that concerning to me because I interpret those numbers as if that he didn't really need to put everything into that race, so should have plenty left in the tank for today. Connoisseur is the other here that's likely to be the pilot or the co-pilot. Does get a weight break versus this crew. Ran better fractions at 1 mile and a 16th on a good track compared to 1 mile on a fast track in his previous start. And I always like to see horses with their fractions and times getting a little bit quicker, especially if there's conditions that mean it should be slower or at a longer distance. And then finally, Valerie First was a tough call for me over the 7-horse, but it's been running, but has been running and is making its third start off of the sidelines. Does have the top late pace numbers by a little bit in this crew, whereas the 7 is making the first start off a layoff, and his resume says that he might need one to get started. So yeah, it's pretty interesting trying to run the show by yourself, folks. It's it would be good if the folks at StreamYard who make this put all of the things we have to click on one screen, but you have to click to another screen, to another screen, to another screen to get to where you can see the comments, put up the race number, open up the thing you see here with the Parx picks and so forth. So it's a pretty interesting challenge. 2 is going to be vulnerable favorite in race number 1. I agree with you with that on Charles. Money burner Charles. Hey, man, it is a money burner for sure. Hey, Jordan, how you doing today? Very hot and humid here in Bensalem. Looking for horses that like the heat. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hot around Chicago tomorrow too. So I expect, Jordan, that you'll see that weather continue through the Northeast as it moves from west to east. Race 3 is 1 mile, optional claimer, $50,000. Non-winners are 3, a purse of $43,000. And as we mentioned before, with 1 mile horses, you want some speed. Yeah, probably 2 through 7 are at best, though it doesn't hurt to be on the rail. Again, if we take a quick look at the pace setup for race number 3, let me pull this down here. We're on race number 3. Race 3, we don't really have a true early pace setter. As you can see, that place is empty. But we do have a number of horses in here that do like to be early pace or pressers, so the EP type horses that have early speed, and that's why they're boxed in, because they do there should be a pace in this race according to their early pace figures, where the 3 and the 6 are positioned where they have won before. The 2 horses you can see back here is a closer, and it's another one of these green arrow horses where its pace figures suggest, instead of being in the back of the pack, could be in the mix for the early running, and does have some of the best late pace numbers in the field. So it should make for a good run out of the 2, which I think is actually a little bit of a price in here. So I will go ahead and put these pace figure charts. I'll take a copy of the page here, and I'll go ahead and put it up on the recap over at horseracingtoday.net in a little bit. So if you want to take a look at those, and I'll also make a note of the book where I got it from. So if you want to learn how to do it yourself, it's a really, really skinny book. I don't see it right now, so I can't. I actually do have it right here. It is called Extreme Pace Handicapping. Don't get anything if you go out and buy it. So you can find it on Amazon by Randy Giles. And it's been really helpful in helping me identify horses for tournaments, some prices when I play, and that's what we're all looking for as well. Let's see right here. Charles says, one-man band today, indeed. And it's kind of tough because when you talk, you get dry. I'm not used to it. 3 goes wire to wire in race 2, says Charles B. I hope you're absolutely right about that. But we're on to race 3. And as I look at my picks in race 3, I'm going to start with number 6, Practical Coach. But when I was reviewing this race, it's actually quite one that I out of all the 6 horses in the field, I wrote down that any one of them can really win. I think if I had to rank or grade the most competitive race on the card today, I don't know, Charles, Jordan, Nick, do you guys agree that this 3rd race is probably the most, I think, open race, if you will? But I'm going to start with number 6, Practical Coach. It was interesting to me that jockey Frankie Pennington got off of the 5, Smoky White, where he won 2 of the last 3 starts with the 5 horse. And then he stays on Practical Coach, who he's ridden out of 8 out of 9 races. So I guess it's in Frankie we trust. Number 3, second choice is top the charts. This one is dropping in from Monmouth Park, Laurel and Gulfstream Park. So a little bit of a track dropper here, I think. Smoked an allowance, $60,000 field last time out at Monmouth. And is a couple of maintenance works in between there. So tops the chart, should be sharp. Number 4, Jamie's Dreams, dropping in from a $153,000 non-graded stakes race, where did put up the top last race speed figure. Beat the next pick that I have on handily by 2 races back. So I think those top 3 horses are probably where you're going to find your winner. Smoky White is the one that was that Frankie Pennington got off of. It was a tough call for me over the 2, especially considering the 2's early morning line odds. But the 5 horse here is the lone pressure horse in the field, where you have a couple of horses, maybe the first 3, that can press for the lead, making an opportunity for a fast pace. Does have the top last pace speed figures, Smoky White, in the event those 3 up front get carried away, which is absolutely kind of possible at times. Tonight, let's see. Yes, definitely post the book title and your pace analysis. I will absolutely do that. It'll be in the recap over at horseracingtoday.net in just a little bit. Charles says 4 horse gets perfect trip here. Race 3, the Stalker in the crowd. Tonight, as always, we're going to be back with Horse Center. Sean and I make our return. I hope Sean is going to be there. I don't want to go solo today. That would be kind of horrible, actually. Not that I don't mind it, but it's a little bit more challenging than when you have somebody you can throw ideas off. It's going to be harder to make fun of myself. But tonight we have on Gage Holmes. She's a young jockey. She's doing pretty well right now. She should be an engaging guest. Looking forward to it. Sean and I will be on with Gage tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on Horse Center, right here on Horse Racing Radar TV. And while you're here, please do us a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button and then also the bell so that when we go live, you will be notified, as many of you, hundreds and hundreds of you have done, and we appreciate that. We do appreciate you helping us grow. So if you hit the subscribe button, you can follow us down there as well on all of our social sites at the Horse Race, the number 2, and then Day, Horse Race 2 Day, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our Swiss Army Sean will keep you up to speed with all sorts of interesting information and some great questions. Just a really good place to kind of gather for horse players. Move on to race number 4 at Parx. Race 4 is a 6.5 furlong affair. And if we take a look once again, at our pace setup for race number 4, let me pull that up on the screen quickly. I apologize. Too many moving buttons, as I mentioned. Race number 4. Do we have any scratches in here? Race number 4. No. Yes. In race number 4, it looks like the 4 and the 9 have scratched out. So we'll take them off of our pace figures. The 4 is out, and the 9, I think, is out. So that changes the shape of the race. Not a whole lot, in my opinion. Looks pretty much the same to me. You get the 1 and the 5 in here as horses that should be towards the front, which matches their early pace running style where they have won races in the past. As you can see, I put a little plus mark here on the 5 horse. That plus mark is an indicator to me that its early pace is much better than the 1 and the 6. So it is the one that should get the jump out of the gate on this crew. You can see that the 2 horse and the 3 horse have the best late pace in the field. So if it gets a little bit fast, could work out to the 2 and the 3's advantage. So that's what we're looking at there. As for the picks in race number 4, hold on one second. Let me see. Jordan says, I generally do not play Parx despite living 5 minutes from the track. Parx is too difficult for me. I generally focus on Charlestown where speed is king. Indeed. If you like speed today, that 5 horse there, though, might be one to take a look at in race number 4. Excuse me one second. I got to hit the cough button. Allergies driving me crazy. I don't know what it is. By this time of year, they're supposed to be over, right? Allergies. So in race number 4, going to kick it off with number 1. You got to love the name, Dag Nabbit. It's a 6.5 furlong race where they've run 120 of them. 76 won by speed, 40 of which went wire to wire. And there is a rail bias. 2 through 7 play fair, and you do get a small penalty if you wear an 8 or an out. Dag Nabbit gets out of the box better than any in here, except for maybe the 5 horse. And so when you look at the past performances where you see start, he's got 2, 2, 1, 1, 2. So that means when them gates open, he's sharp to react. Ran better across the board in his first race after more than 3 months on the bench. Looking for more today in the second start. And this is a quick turnaround because the last time out was July the 9th. So the trainer must have liked what he saw and wants to get him right back to the track. As I mentioned, Doon. I think this one will play the part of the pace setter if the 1 doesn't get off to its typically fast start. taking the biggest drop in the field by a pretty wide margin, making his first start at Parx, and trainer Felix Cordoba Flores hits at 26% out with shippers. ET Superstar did best the top pick last out, finishing second by a neck. Was better early and late in the race, so a little bit of a Z pattern there. Has the most late punch in this group and should be coming at the end. But yeah, short fields way back sometimes concerns me. And then finally, number 3, Splitsville is the morning line favorite here. I don't think that'll be the case at post time. The last race was a little better than it looks on paper, but I still do prefer them over a pair that are coming off the maiden claiming wins after a bunch of tries. So as much as I think the 3 Splitsville is a very vulnerable morning line favorite, I'd much rather have it than a couple of horses that are coming off of maiden claiming 10 wins. Rich Pace Shapes Ferdinand Publishing, the best pace book ever written, well-guarded secret from Handicapper Giants. Okay, I'll make sure I get that one. Mark that down. It's called Rich Head Race Pace Shapes. Franson Publishing, best pace book ever. So I'll put that in the notes as well. Let me just write that down. Well, I'll come back and look at the comments afterwards so that we can move on to race number 4. My picks in race number 4 are, I just went through that. It's confusing when you're by yourself. So now we're going to try race number 5. Race 5 is a 7 furlong race, claiming $7,500. And to look at the profile of a 7 furlong winner, there have been 125 races, 90 of which were won by horses that were in the first 3 at the first call. 43, Richard Petty, went wire to wire. You have an inside 3 bias here. 8+ outperforms 4 through 7. However, both 4 and out. Well, if you get a 4 and out, you tend to underperform based upon the number of races and the style and how many should win at that position on odds and that sort of stuff. In race number 5, if we take a look at our pace setup, I do have a lone e-horse in here. That is the 3 horse. So that guy should be towards the front, does have some early pace. The only other horse that has a little bit of early pace and 1 is the 1 horse. Both of them get squared, meaning they do get a race shape that should fit them. The 2 and the 4 are the 2 horses with the most late pace in this group. And as far as how I stack them up, let me open up the other screen here real quick. I'm going to go ahead in race number 5 and start off my picks. Whoops, wrong button, sorry. Wrong button again. Race number 5. Number 2, Fearless Fly has the best Parx numbers, has a top last race speed figure in the group, has a lot of I don't know what I wrote in here lately, but tried to move forward in his last race. Number 6, Drone Swarm. The last few races were, as I put it, UGLY. Trainer Luis Linder is dropping the horse to the lowest level in the last 10 races. Maybe wakes up versus weaker company here. Number 3, Last Investment. Should get to the lead as the lone e-horse in the field. She hasn't had an uncontested lead yet, so I'm not quite sure what she's going to do with it. Did show better pace numbers across the board last time out, but had slower fractions despite running a half a furlong shorter. And that's another case of I'm not sure what to do with that. And then number 1, Catch My Vibe. This one should be closer to the front than usual. Does ride the 17% winning rail. Trainer Martin Thompson, though, at 21 times out at Parx this year, only a couple of thirds. So here you have a guy who's overdue, living up to the gambler's fallacy. All right, race number 6. Charles for the book. Yes, indeed, Charles, we do appreciate that. And if anybody else has any books or any information that they found to be very valuable and helpful in what they do to find more winners, of course, we appreciate the comments. We appreciate the suggestions because we're all in this game to get a little bit better at it and hopefully eventually win that National Handicapping Championship and collect that $750,000 check. That is the goal for me anyway. Before we go on to race number 6, just going to point out the All-Star game is this weekend, but we've been working with picks with the professor. I don't know if any of you have been playing his baseball picks that we put up as his best bets. But I think since he started the show, he's had 1 rain out, 1 push, and all of the others are winners. So when they return, you can go over to pickswiththeprofessor.com. Check them out. Pay attention to those A plays. I do have a description to his pick of the day, a link in the description on Facebook and on YouTube. At the same time, there is a link to his YouTube show as well. So if you're into betting baseball and you want to find out a professor who actually does statistics, who's actually been really good at picking games, which is I think the most important part of it all, make sure you head over to Picks with the Professor. Hit him up in the comment section. Be rowdy and let him know that the folks from Horse Racing Today sent you. Charles says, you're welcome, Nick, for the book. I'm going to go out and buy it myself, too. And as soon as I get it, I will go ahead and share the knowledge that I get from it with everybody here in the show, because I'm always trying to improve my game. And one other thing I'll point out, too, there's a couple of great references online. One called SSRN, and I'm not sure if it's .com or .org, but it's a repository of all sorts of academic research, including horse racing. But no matter what field of work that you're in, I'm sure you'll find some research in there that can help you become more efficient and better at what you do. So make sure you take a look at that, ssrn.com or .org. Okay, so we move on to race number 6, which is the last leg of the second, I think it's the second pick 4 of the day on the Parx card. Race number 6, and I will have that today in reverse order as my prime rib today, being the first 4 races instead of the last. This one's a maiden $34,000 race, 5 furlongs for registered Pennsylvania maidens that are 2 years old, these fillies. This race, when I broke it down, there's really, because of all of the youngsters in here and only a few horses that were have any kind of experience, pace setup really isn't an issue. So I just went through and kind of ranked the horses based upon, well, actually, I think when I looked at the first time starters, they looked better to me than the ones with experience, because the experienced horses ran pretty much awful races in their debut. So it's going to be mostly first-time starters in my picks here. I'm going to start off at number 3, Winning Moon. I like that she's been working from the gate, so shouldn't be any hesitation when the doors open. Good works at Monmouth. I'm especially eyeing the work on July 26th, 4 furlongs, 48-1. Heated from the gate. It was the 10th fastest out of 109. So that's a pretty big class of horses that she ran against that day. And to post the 10th fastest, I think is telling. Number 2, Uptown Amanda is likely to be the favorite based on the morning line and the June 29th work at Parx. 4 furlongs and 47 seconds. That's fast. It was the fastest of 32 that day. The one experienced horse I'm going to go with here is probably not the one that people would expect, but I'm going to go with Storm and Elvis. To me, this one pops in as the experienced horse because I'm willing to take a flyer on it. Has an excuse for her poor debut, was squeezed at the start, and it wasn't just that the horse ran green like some of the others who just ran bad. Has 2 decent workouts since, but trainer Jorge Diaz has taken 5 horses so far this year that are making their second career start. 2 of them actually won, and those 2 combined for a positive ROI of over $12, almost $13. I think you're going to get a price here too. If not, if you see the bettors are hitting this horse up, then you know something's up. But I think this one might go off at a price. Doesn't get squeezed at the start, could surprise. And then finally, the final first-time start, I'm going to go with Desi's Reward. Does get a weight break, and her workouts are better than the ones, which is the other first-time starter. And that brings us to the prime rib pick 4. Charles says that's repository. Thesis repository. Yeah, there's a lot of research in there too. So where they, it's a great place. So make sure you head on over to ssrn.com. I actually, one of the things I did with that is I put in horse racing, and there was a gentleman, and it's a lot to do with my rankings actually that I have. It's part of what I do. This gentleman studied from, I think he was from Stanford, but I'm not sure, about one of those West Coast kind of really brainy schools. Got a grant, and with that grant, he studied horse racing. And he studied tens of thousands of races across the country, and he found 7 predictive data points for horses that might run better the next time out. And I used those 7 predictive data points in my Excel sheet, and that's how I create my quantitative ranking. So it works very well for me. And now I've also then combined it with like, the stuff that I read in books. So you just don't want to go solely on the math. You do want to put a little bit of experience in there. Kind of want to read the comments just in case there is a horse that got off to a bad start. So you want to put the qualitative with the quantitative. You marry the two together, and hopefully you become a better handicapper. So the first pick for me today, pick 4 today, is going to be the prime rib pick 4, starting in race number 3. I'm going to go with the 6, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 2, because I did mention that race to me looked like it could be the most wide open race of the day. I'm going to put 3 horses in the middle and then close it out with 4 in the race of first-time starters, hoping to catch some nice prices across the early part of the ticket. So we'll have our box it up in race number 1. We'll take a little pause in race number 2 and then him right back for our prime rib pick 4 today, a little bit reverse order. Let's go ahead and move on to the next race, which is you. How you doing today, Ishan? We appreciate you showing up today. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. Well, I'll be by myself, unless somebody wants to join me as a guest commentator, and I'll be doing Colonial Downs tomorrow at 11 o'clock by myself. I do have a best bet up today at Colonial Downs. I did it because Terry is away. I didn't want to put it up because I'm not the best bet kind of guy. That's Terry's domain, and I'll leave that to Terry. But if you want to see the Colonial Downs best bet of the day, it is over in race number 7. It splits the 2 stakes races over at Colonial Downs. And the reason I did race number 7 today is because I am in a contest over at Hawthorne, the Hawthorne's club, and they're having a summer long. We have to pick a horse every single day in a race between now, I think, and Labor Day. It's not too late to join in if you go over to hawthorne.com, which is the track. You'll see there's the contest. Click on the contest page, and you'll make a pick every day for the next, 90 days or something like that. And if you win, you get to go to the Las Vegas National Handicapping Championship. And today, that was my pick of the day, race number 7 at Colonial. You can catch that over at horseracingtoday.net. So we're going to go to race number 7 at Parx now. We'll get back to this one's 1 mile and 70 yards, an allowance, $35,000 for non-winners of more than one in a year. And let's take a look at how the pace breaks down for race number 7. Got to pull that back up on the screen. Forgive me as I have to click so many different buttons. Race 7 over here. You'll once again see that we have what I call a left arrow horse, the 7 horse. 7 horse is an EP horse, but its pace figures say it should be close to the front, if not on the front in race number 7. And if I recall, let me just check my notes. Indeed, I am right. The 3 horse in here is scratched. So with the 3 horse scratched, it will give the 7 an even more advantage with its early pace. So the 7 actually gets, I think if I remember correctly in here, my best bet of the day in race number 7. Yes, indeed. It is my best bet of the day because I do feel it's going to have a pace advantage over the rest of the field and such, get to the lead and probably win. So as I wrote in my notes, this is a left arrow horse. Does have it is the lone early pace, but has the top early pace figures in the field. Drops in from a non-graded stakes $100,000 race and has a bullet workout in between races, which I love. It tells me the horse remains sharp. Number 2, Stonegate is making the first start since May the 30th. Ran well the first time it came off the bench. Been at Parx 15 times with 3 wins, 5 seconds, 3/3. So it does like to hit the board. The Philadelphia track that Jordan doesn't bet at, despite living 5 minutes away. It's also run well at the distance, out 4 times, 2 wins, and a second, no thirds. Lucky Running Cat, another one that's been off since May. This one's been on in the barn since May 9th. Won his first start off the bench, so perhaps a horse that does like to run fresh. Does have a nice workout, not a bullet, but then a maintenance workout since. So 2 good workouts getting prepped for the spot. And then finally, number 1, Imagine This, I think should benefit from the 3 scratching as a horse with hidden early pace numbers. Rides the 19% winning rail, but I do expect that you're going to see the 7 get out to the front of this race and probably never look back. Good card today at Colonial Downs. Yeah, Nick, they have good cards every day at Colonial Downs. We'll be there tomorrow again. I'll be there. Hopefully, could find a guest to work with me. If not, I'll go solo again. You guys are keeping me company. I appreciate the comments. If you have comments or you have picks at Parx or anything that you like at Colonial Downs, any other track today, certainly fill me in on that. I look forward to it. Race number 8 is my long shot of the day. I like to try to, if I can, put my best bet and long shot back to back so we can have a best bet long shot double. In race 8 is 1 mile and 70 yards on the turf. It's supposed to go off at about 4 o'clock Eastern. I think the rain's supposed to come in around 5 o'clock Eastern, so hopefully the rain holds off. They do get to run this race on the turf. And if we again, let's take a look at the pace setup for race number 8. You see here we do have an early horse that has a lot of early pace. That is the 3 horse, and I put plus, plus, plus there. And the reason that gets a plus, plus, plus is because the 3 horse has probably the top early pace advantage out of any horse on the card today. You can see our strongest late pace horse in the field is number 7, but the 3 horse is the one that's likely to get the best trip based upon its winning style so far. So if we look at 1 mile and 70 yards on the turf course, they've only run 9 of them so far at Parx. 5 were won by speed, which should benefit the 3, 4 of which went wire to wire. The post position, you have a strong rail bias. 2 and 3 are fair. 4 through 7 get a major bonus. 4 through 7 get a bonus, but a major penalty if 8 plus. Again, thunderstorms in the forecast will hopefully come a little bit later than that. Just in Time for Wine is my long shot of the day. As I mentioned, has the biggest early pace advantage in this field. Won his last and only run on the Parx grass, going wire to wire. It has a 3 furlong bullet workout since I think its odds are going to come down, to be honest with you. But I still hope we get a decent price. Road trip to nowhere. That's where we're going to go with our second pick. Number 8 in race number 8. Won his last with much better pace numbers across the board. Top last race speed figure, pulling away from a field of 6 by 9 1/4 lengths. Number 7 is the third pick. Texas Basin does flip from dirt to turf as long as it stays on turf. Trainer Jamie Ness wins at 21% on that turf, dirt to turf angle. I would rank this one higher if the race is taken off the grass. It is 2 for 2 on a wet track. And then finally, number 4, Samarante, 4 consecutive speed figure increases, much faster fractions last time out at 1 mile and 70 yards on turf versus the same distance on dirt. That tells me that maybe Samarante really is a turf horse and not a grass horse. Could be, right? It says, Nick, make your money early in the card. Scratched horse, it helps at Colonial weather, threatening end of the card as well. So, yeah, I think the whole eastern kind of, the whole like mid-Atlantic area, there's subject to thunderstorms today. So hopefully they clear out tomorrow. When we go back over to Colonial Downs, we'll get some really nice weather over there. Race 9. All right, so let's go to race 9. In race number 9 at Parx is a 6.5 furlong, optional claiming $16,000 on the main track. Profile of a 6.5 furlong race, 120 of them, 76 won by speed, 40 which go wire to wire, so exactly a third. You do have a rail bias, post 2 through 7, play fair, swap penalty if you wear an 8 and out. Again, let's take a quick look here at the pace setup for race number 9. Race number 9, we don't have a pure early speed horse. The 4 horse is the one that's likely to be forwardly placed. He's a early pace and presser, so he's an EP horse. Can get to the lead. As you can see, he is squared off. The square meaning that the horse should get a pace that sets up for a way that it's won a race in the past. The 5 horse here is the green arrow horse in the race, the left arrow horse. He's a presser, but does have the early pace to challenge the 4, if not take the lead. And then we get the number 1 late pace horse in the field. That is the 2 horse. So if it can stick close, it is a pressure horse. And the 4 and the 5 perhaps run a little bit too fast. Should open the door for the 2 to bring it on home. If we take a look at the picks in this spot, in race number 9, I'm going to start off my picks in the second to last race of the day. We can't stop this man, which I guess is the theme for me today because I'm here solo. Drops off a win with the top last race speed figure. Not concerned about the drop because it's not in for a tag or anything. It's in for to collect the check. Strong fractions last out. Did run better numbers across the board in terms of its pace numbers. And at Parx, 13 times, 4 wins, 4 seconds, and 3/3. So clearly a fan of the track. Number 2, Loverboy Lou. I think every guy I knew named Lou thought he was a lover boy. But anyway, this one won 3 of its last 4 races. Did tie for the top last race speed figure with Can't Stop This Man. One that should be close to the pace and has the strongest late move of the crew. Number 5, Mr. Sandman, probably the best song from, well, one of the better songs from Metallica. Enter Sandman, not Mr. Sandman. But anyway, Resume says this one should be considerably better in the second start off a layoff. In the money at Parx, 6 out of 8 races, but only collecting the win once. So probably more of one of those horses you want in your exacta or your trifecta, maybe not at the top of your ticket. And then finally, number 6, Float On. It's the lone pressure closer in the field. So he can win from the lead and he can win from the back. And when you're looking at those, again, I'm going to pull this up over here. When you make your own pace setup, if you find a horse sometimes that is in a column by itself, be it lone pace, lone speed, lone pressure horse, lone closer, and sometimes those horses actually end up getting a nice race set up for them because they're comfortable where they're at. There's nobody really challenging them for the position that they're in, and then they can run that race that they usually do to win. Let's see what Charles has to say. Nick says, "Hi, Happy Charles. Working forward to LPS at Colonial." Let's see. Race number 9, 6-horse ran huge second off claim. Drops today in class. Gets perfect trip today. And that's in race number 9, according to Charles. He likes that 6-horse there in race number 9. I have the 6-horse as my 4th pick. So hopefully he comes home, Charles. I do have him in my prime rib and my Philly 5, which we'll get to as soon as we wrap up race number 10. Race 10 at Parx. It is a when Terry's here, I get to click on these while he's talking. But this one's a mile on the turf. It is a maiden claiming $16,000, a purse of $24,000. And then if we look at 1 mile on the turf, so far they haven't really run very many of them. I think they ran 2 so far. Yes, 2. Both were won by speed, but neither of which went wire to wire. Both of them had outside draws. I don't know that 2 races enough really to make a big deal out of the data there. If we look at how race number 10 sets up, here again, we see the pace setup. The E-horse, the lone E-horse, is the 4-horse. And here you see a negative in this case. And the negative is not that it's bad for the horse, but what I like to do in these optional claiming in these maiden claiming races, these lines, the negatives, this indicates a horse that's running at the same level that it ran last time. Here you see a down arrow. The down arrow here, no, that's not what I want. I want a line. The down arrow here, you see the down arrow here. That down arrow shows you a horse that is actually, come on now, cooperate with me, is a horse that's dropping in class. I like to look in these maiden claiming spots for horses that are dropping. So you have the 7 dropping, you have the 1 dropping, you have the 8 dropping. The 5 is a first-time starter. I like the first-time starters in this group here. Not a big fan of the horses with the up barrels, especially at the lower level classes, unless they did something really nice last time out. So let's take a look at how I think this race is going to play out in race number 10. Race 10, I have the 4-horse, that lone E-horse, as my top choice. Sovereign Change, bullets galore, getting ready for the first race in more than a year on the bench in the barn. We got the Ruben Silvera, Jamie Ness combo that's clicking at 38%. Trips to the winner's circle. Despite that huge number, they're still generating a really small but yet positive ROI. Fictional Fairy Tale, biggest dropper in the race. That's the 7-horse. Should be part of the early pace. Cut back in distance probably helps this horse. Number 1, T-Rex, is another class dropper, although did try this level once before. Did run better fractions last out and ties for the top late pace figures. And finally, number 1, Blast the Music, is the lone first-time starter in the field. I always include the first-time starters if there's only one of them, because you just don't know what you're going to get out of that horse. Could be a really good horse, might not be a good horse at all. But we'll find out. And usually, if it has mediocre works and it's not really favored by the odds maker, they end up going off at a decent price. So maybe the 5 goes off at a decent price and closes out our prime rib and the Philly 5. even without Terry, I got my Philly 5. So this is the late pick 5 at how I'm going to stack up the ticket. Late pick 5 today at Parx. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to single that 7, my best bet of the day, and then go 4, 4, 4 to bring it home. And then my prime rib pick 4, the last 4 races of the day, looks like this. I'm going to go 5 by 3 by 3 by 4. And hopefully cash both the Philly 5 and the late pick 4, my prime. That was actually my hot dog pick 4. Let's go to the hot dog pick 4. I'm sorry, I put the wrong one in there. Hot dog pick 4 is race number 7. I'm singling the 7 and then going 3, 3, and 4 to close out the card. So I'm hoping to catch a nice, cheap pick 4 at the end of the card. Race number 10, Sticky, a pedigree play. Number 1 horse finds its friends today. Class drop should get a nice price on the 1 horse, which is the 3rd pick, Charles. So I'll take the 1 or I'll take the 6. Either one. Again, here is the full card of picks today. Races 1 through 10. Again, I will put up the pace chart that I was illustrating today over at horseracingtoday.net. I'll put up a copy of the picture of it. You'll find that over at horseracingtoday.net, along with the name of the book that Charles recommended, the name of the book that I recommended today. So we have an all-encompassing show. Race number 1 is going to be my box it up. 4 horses, $1 exacta box, 50-cent try, 10-cent superfecta box with the 5, the 4, the 2, and the 1. Race number 3 today kicks off my prime rib pick 4. Race number 6 starts the late pick 5 or the Philly 5. That's how I'm stacking that card up. And then finally, my hot dog pick 4 is the last 4 races of the day. Going to single up that 7, hope to bring them home, and then catch maybe a couple prices behind. If you're going to do some action today over at Assanobia Downs tonight, and the reason I picked Assanobia Downs for the free track of the day over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet is because I know that the folks at Stable Duel on Monday nights, they tend to do the Assanobia Downs as their track. And I also see online a lot of folks on YouTube are checking that show out. So head on over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet. You'll see Assanobia Downs is the free track of the day. Click on that. You can play along with the Stable Duel. You can play along by yourself. Hopefully it goes pretty well for you. Later on this week, it is Haskell Week. It is the $1 million race. We will have a wagering guide available once it's available with all of our statistics, our data, our picks, pace setup, the whole 9 yards. We'll let you know about that as well. So hopefully I did all right by myself, folks. What do you think? Well done. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Try to get done. Just by myself, it took me longer than Terry and I go together, too. Good luck, Charles, to you as well. Great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bombs away at Colonial early on. Good luck today, Nick. Good luck to everybody today, no matter where it is that you're playing your picks. Please, if you do well today and you like what we did, head on over to horseracingtoday.net. You can check out all the stuff we talked about. But while you're there, go ahead and get yourself some Horse Racing Today gear. Support the show. Chris Parmalou said he got this shirt and says it absolutely is styling. So mine's on the way. Looking forward to it. And I'll style on the show as well. Till we catch up tonight with Gage over at Horse Center with Sean and I at 8 p.m. Till we get together tomorrow, just me maybe, Colonial Downs, no matter what you're doing today, no matter what track you're playing, Colonial Downs, Parx, Assanobia Downs, whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that it ends up in the winner's circle. Make sure that you follow us on our social sites and hit the like button at Facebook and Twitter. Retweet us on Instagram. Until then, folks, have a fantastic Monday.